Hey folks, Valentin the Mad here, and today I want to talk about Killing Floor 3. We had it recently announced, so here are some thoughts on what we've seen so far and what would be cool to have there. So first up, the second game established a pretty solid focus on response on the receiving end, which of course is going to be gore, so I'll begin with some thoughts on that and what I think we reasonably can expect. So, the first one that comes to mind is of course the Modular Damage. I think it absolutely has to be in. Now, I wouldn't expect something to match or even exceed that Aventu's flash system, but I think we still can have something simpler that would deliver still a very visceral response. So for example, we have the video with the new flashpoint concepts, and without proper damage, you can already feel the bullet sponginess. We've seen it in so many other games where you have characters that look like this and yeah, they can just tank heaps of damage and show practically no response and it all feels just quite bad and, in my opinion, I would say even somewhat cheesy. You know, you got a big character and that's basically the reason this fight is quote-unquote epic, the large character and the tons of damage he can tank. However, it doesn't have to be so. With a multi-layer damage system, with proper visual damage to the metal parts too, with perhaps being able to blow off large chunks of him and have him stay in the fight, maybe even take a whole arm off and see him react to that. So, with those features of notable visual response, we might have a large character who can tank lots of damage and not be the boring bullet sponge we've seen in just about any game that has a fight with a large character. I think multi-layer damage would greatly enhance the response even for the small guys, but for the large ones, if done right, it can really be a game changer to how it feels. A minor one that I do want to note is, hopefully, you won't have the head explode on every single fatal headshot kill. So, in KF2 you have a head damage system which isn't fully used, not sure why. You can get results like this, but only if you shoot dead characters. So, hopefully you can avoid that, and if it will have a head damage system, hopefully it will give you the proper varied response. Now I do want to talk about the Aftermath and the blood spinning. Of all things gore related, Aftermath is where Killing Floor 2 seriously, massively, very impressively shined. So, you have the permanent blood as a key feature, you can basically paint the environments red, and you do. What is also very important, no less, is that the engine can handle loads of bodies and severed body parts, and that was the case from the very start. Even the PC I had back then could handle a very impressive amount of mass, and now you can very much push things even further and the result is just absolutely glorious. So, I very much hope that this remains the case, that this remains a key focus, and with the glorious Aftermath, with better blood spinning, it was a little lacking in KF2 at times, we can get just very satisfying results and absolutely fantastic Aftermath. Now as for the animations, basically the active ragdoll wiggling they have is pretty good for this game, but what would be pretty cool is to have the occasional longer wiggling, kind of like what we had in the Callisto Protocol. That was a thing they absolutely got right, and it probably shouldn't happen on every single enemy in Killing Floor, but let's say about a 1 in 5 chance of a longer wiggling on a body shot, that could be kinda cool. Now as for the other things, gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the switch to the futuristic theme. Originally, to my understanding, KF2 was supposed to be about the breakout of the Zeds wreaking havoc on the planet and the players basically dealing with it in post-apocalyptic, grounded to reality locations with largely real weapons and some measured degree of silliness. Anyone who followed the game knows it was never really fully realized. There are relatively few realistic believable maps and it got real silly real quick, with silly weapons, silly character and weapon skins, robot enemies, for whatever reason, who are by the way quite unresponsive, I might add, got massively bloated, 90 effing gigs, and generally it just got to not where in my opinion it should have been. Definitely not the original vision of bullets, blades and blood. So the trouble is, in my view, is that in the futuristic theme you have even more of an opening to bring in the silly stuff, way more than you have in the original vision of KF2. But that remains to be seen. Even in a futuristic theme, you can definitely have a reasonably grounded experience with a focus on bullets, blades and blood, maybe the occasional laser, and the silliness can be kept in check. We'll just see if they will. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, do let me know what you think in the comment section, I do wanna hear your take on it, and subscribe for more content coming your way soon. Until next time!